Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, sir. We're very happy that this is happening today. So just permit me to do something unique in terms of our focus for malaria control in Nigeria. To do this, I will call on Dr. Dao, Country Director for Volta. We're going to have the Honorable Minister interested for malaria. Okay, Honorable Minister, please. Thank you very much. This is showcasing the main focus for malaria control in Nigeria, which we refer to as the 3 T's. Your Excellency, the first T stands for tests. We cannot overemphasize or we cannot underscore the importance of that. The second T, sir, is for treatment. Cannot have His Excellency and the Minister of Health standing for long, so once we take their samples, we're going to have them seated again. So can I have Dr. Walter on stage to come and quality check what is happening, sir, please? Thank you very much.
We are witnessing leadership by example. Leadership by example by Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, as well as the Honorable Minister of State for Health, Dr. Salako. Please, let's appreciate them. That is the way to go for every one of us all.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. So again, this is the way to go for malaria control program in Nigeria. The pre-elimination in Nigeria could commence in phases. We could commence pre-elimination in Nigeria in phases. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Thank you. So back to the 4th bullet on my slide. Your Excellencies, pre-elimination in Nigeria could be commenced in phases. It could start with the states, Lagos State, for example, and we could go geopolitical zones. So I was sitting with my sister, the Commissioner of Health from Ogun State. So the fever for pre-elimination have started. So I also want to say that it stands on Lagos State to make sure that this pathway for pre-elimination is properly done. The National Malaria Elimination Program is waiting to take the experiences and the processes that Lagos will use to achieve elimination to be replicated in other states. Your Excellencies, it's important to note that right now we have a couple of states under 10% prevalence in the country, and those states are Anambra, Kwara, and Rivers States. So what is happening in Lagos that has been flagged off today, it's like NMEP, it's poised to take what these processes and experiences are to states like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma. Let's appreciate her. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr. Governor, sir, Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, who has been ably represented here today by the Honorable Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Adekunle Salako. A round of applause for him, please.
Your Excellency, the excellent Governor of the Center of Excellence, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. I must recognize my brother, who is the one who has summoned all of us here today, the Honorable Commissioner for Health for Lagos State. All members of the Lagos State Cabinet here present, our partners, WHO, World Bank, distinguished stakeholders in the health sector, gentlemen of the press. Because of time, they will say all protocols to be extended. We cannot keep the governor for malaria alone. He has to attend to water, to road, to several other things. So I will shorten my speech, but I must say that today I'm wearing two caps. You may not see it physically. I'm standing in for myself and also standing in for my brother, the coordinating minister for health and social welfare, Professor Pate, who is unable to attend because of other assignments. I am most delighted to be at this auspicious occasion of the launch of the Pathway to Malaria Pre-Elimination and Digitization Program in the Center of Excellence, Lagos State, led by His Excellency, the Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. I recall that Lagos State pioneered intensive malaria case management in the early 2000s through the Eco-Free Malaria Initiative, under the leadership of now our President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the then Governor. I am most delighted to be here today to be part of another pioneering initiative now under Governor Babatunde Sanwo-Olu as Lagos State takes the lead in the agenda to end malaria by 2030. Your Excellency, the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare is elated with this giant stride, which aims to improve malaria diagnosis, case management, and accurate tracking of cases through the integration of digital health solutions in the form of real-time electronic reporting systems, all targeted at further reduction in the burden of malaria and its eventual elimination from our land. This momentous project will not only set a track for malaria pre-elimination in Lagos State, but in Nigeria at large, thereby once again making Lagos State a trailblazer. I want to emphasize that this project is in line with the renewable agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the renewed vigor for the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare on the Rethinking Malaria concept that was launched in April 2024 and is aimed at fast-tracking the malaria elimination goal through strategic shifts. We have continued to make progress in this regard, and the inauguration of the advisory on malaria elimination in Nigeria, AMEN, the development of pragmatic costed plan of action, the expansion of permanent healthcare facilities, training of frontline health workers, and the initiation of domestication of affordable medicine facilities for malaria to make malaria treatment more affordable are all testament to the progress we are making. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry is taking these steps in order to reverse the undesirable trend of being the highest burden malaria endemic country globally, accounting for 37% and 31% of cases and deaths, respectively. I am confident that the Lagos State possesses the needed attributes that can help drive Nigeria to malaria elimination through such case-setting initiatives like this program. Furthermore, Lagos has been consistently the lowest malaria prevalence state in Nigeria, as evidenced from all the malaria indicator survey conducted in the country, with the most recent result in 2021 showing 2% prevalence, hence indicating a tendency of attaining pre-elimination when concerted and consolidated efforts are put in place. I wish to report that the challenge of let me use this opportunity to call on all stakeholders not to relent on their support towards this impactful intervention, which will contribute significantly to the drive at eliminating malaria from the world. Nigeria is ever committed to this drive and will continue to toe the path of global best practices. I wish to assure all Nigerians and our partners that the change in the policy of the United States government with respect to global health funding will not adversely affect our malaria elimination programs and other public health initiatives, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR has approved a robust mechanism to ensure adequate and cost-effective funding for our public health programs. I call on all state governments to join hands with the federal government to ensure that our country becomes self-sustaining in the funding of our public health programs. Before I end this address, let me commend once again and appreciate His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and his health team, led by Professor Akin Abayomi, for initiating and executing this laudable innovative project. I wish to also sincerely appreciate all the partners, World Bank, WHO, all the implementers, especially for providing the needed human resources, technical support, and the funding for the implementation of this initiative. I wish all of us a successful launch of this impactful project as a springboard for the elimination of malaria from our country. Thank you, and God bless the federal government.
Distinguished invited guests, Your Excellencies, Honorable Minister of State, have your results. I'm pleased to say that Honorable Minister of State, we will not be confining you in a bed in Lagos. Your result is negative. When patients go to clinics and the doctors tell you that they've performed a test, it is your responsibility as a patient to see the test. Please ask for the test and take a picture of it and have a record on your phone. My governor, the Excellency of Lagos State, I'm pleased to tell you that you may continue with your duties.
Congratulations, sir.
Negative, and the low prevalence of malaria in Lagos has been chart course to pre-elimination. Thank you very much for your support, both the Honorable Minister Minister and our Governor and members of the Lagos State Executive Council. Mr. Governor, if you would like to approach the podium to give your keynote and to launch a pathway to malaria elimination in Lagos.
A practitioner himself and a strong politician, Dr. Thank you very much for finding out. Members of the State Executive Council, especially Professor Akin Abayomi, and Special Advisor on Health. Thank you very much. Other cabinet members, all the permanent secretaries in the Health Ministry, and several of you that are here. Thank you very much for taking our time. The Country Director for the World Bank, Dr. Diop, the Country Representative for the WHO, Dr. Walter, all of our partners that are here, MyShamed, Impact, SFH, the National Malaria Organization, our friends from our neighboring state, the Honorable Commissioner for Health in Ogun State, thank you. All of our health practitioners, stakeholders that are here, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. When you are asked to come forward and conduct a test that you did not psych yourself for, what will happen is you quickly raise, your brain will raise back and say, have I been feeling unwell? What is going to happen? It just brought us back 5 years during COVID, and they said that they're going to do a COVID test. It was like, the heart was going to open and you don't know what will be the outcome. But you see, it's an important activity that we need to continue to subject ourselves to. You might think it's a simple thing, but it's so important. And that ability for you to come forward, if it has turned positive, what it will have just meant is that we need to make a treatment. It's not a death penalty, but it's really just for all of us to know that we need to do this thing and we need to be able to come forward transparently at all times and let us end all of these things that we don't want again in our sight. Thank you very much. And so it's an honor that I stand before all of you in this room are very strategic to launch the first in the country, another Lagos first, the pathway to malaria pre-elimination and digitalization programs. We're here to affirm our commitment to safeguarding lives and the livelihood of every Lagosian. Malaria is more than a disease. It's a socio-economic burden that has held back individuals. It has held back families and communities for such a long time. It robs us of our productivity. It drains us of our household incomes. And for many households in Lagos, especially those modest earners, malaria, the name it alone brings shivers. It reduces their earning and reduces their ability to continue to earn more for their family. And so this financial strain often affects families and a lot of times causes heartbreaks and the rest of it. But we're here to put a stop or to even bring a voice to the step at which we want to eliminate that completely. It has affected school children from going to school. It has affected businesses. It has seen a whole lot of absenteeism and a lot of challenges in our society for several decades. But today, we have to change all of that narrative. The eradication of malaria is not just a good health news. It is indeed an economic imperative. It's a good news that all of us must beat our chest and be able to carry, if there's a P, that we need to have, a pre-elimination, the campaign for it, we need to have it and we need to be able to dot it everywhere. We know from statistics how much malaria has cost our GDP, billions and billions of dollars. Imagine what Lagos could achieve with a lot of resources if we're able to eliminate all of this. We no longer have to choose between survival and opportunity. Imagine a Lagos where every child can attend school uninterrupted
because of ill health, or an adult can contribute fully to the economy. And one thing that is instructive was the demonstration of the slide by Professor Akiambam, and I saw others as well. I can see that Prof already has a side job in animation and cartooning. It's a job that he can conveniently retire into. And the narratives were very clear. But the message was very, very transparently done. And all of us, in one form or the other, are guilty of this. You feel unwell, you think you have a fever, the next thing is you are diagnosing yourself with malaria. Very easy. Just give me injection. Just give me this tablet. I know what it is. We are all, self-diagnosing ourselves and self-telling ourselves that that is what it can only be and that is what it is. So just give us. But we can see that with knowledge and with communication, a lot of all of those negative things, you can rewrite them. And so this program represents a hope rooted on innovation, collaboration, and determination by leveraging digital tools that will ensure that every malaria case is tracked in real time. This is digital. Long are those days when you need to take a whole full blood from your body to just do a simple malaria test. I was asking for my bottle of Mortina because those days when they take your blood test, you must replenish it with a bottle of Mortina. But you can see that with just a small prick, and in no time you can actually. That's what digital life, has done. And so it has helped us by strengthening partnership with the private sector. We will expand access for quality care. It will help communities to have the knowledge and the resources. It will build a culture of preventing that leaves no one behind. And that's a message we need to come out of from here. All of us sitting in this room must immediately turn ourselves into an advocate, into a cheerleader, to be able to carry this message forward, to be able to tell everybody that needs to know. Go into our communities, pass on this message that this pre-elimination launch program has started, and it's for all of us to see it, to buy into it, and to work with it. The benefit of eradicating malaria goes beyond just health. The malaria-free Lagos, and indeed in future, the malaria-free Nigeria is achievable in our time, and we've all put our minds to it. It's something that could be done. We believe that if we can eliminate it, it will increase productivity, it will improve educational outcomes from our children, it will reduce considerably our health costs. It would also enhance quality of life. All of these points speaks to a better livability standards, in all indices. And so this vision, though ambitious, I believe is achievable. It requires, therefore, all of us, government agencies, healthcare practitioners, healthcare providers, community leaders, development partners, and indeed all citizens to work together with an unwavering resolve. Success will not come overnight, but will be sustained effort and collaborative action. We will prevail. You saw the slides that Farmer and the lady on malaria and the lady on immunization. You saw the statistics between January and February, what the run rate should be. Yes, we will say that, this is just March, but we need to look to double those numbers. We need to push those numbers to be able to achieve the 2025 target. We need to be able to push and achieve, because there is no magic to it. If your target is 2 million, and at the end of February, we are still doing less than 200,000. You are doing far, far less. So you need to double, your spike shoots. You need to work harder, twice as fast, twice as much for you to achieve the 2025 record. And Doctor told us, Prof, he told us from WHO that it's 2025. They are going to close the envelope. Hello? Yes, they said they are going to close it. And there's a 20, where is it? I thought it was. They're going to close it. Our target is that we have to take that $20 million. We have to do everything to make sure that we'll meet the criteria very, very quickly. because if it's something that we've all said we want to do, then everybody must be on the same page. And I want to commend the farmer and all the ladies that came forward transparently to show us those data. And what we need to do is we don't need to wait in October before we now cry. We need to be able to track this thing on a month-on-month, basis. So I want to thank all of you. I want to thank our partners, the World Health Organization, World Bank, the National Malaria Elimination Program. Our community pharmacists are here. All of our pharmaceutical associations are here. Thank you very much. Our various private and public hospitals, and all of you that are here for your valuable support and making this initiative positive. Of course, permit me to thank in absentia our very hardworking Honorable Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Al-Pate. Our best regards and our best wishes to him. We know all of the things that he has brought about in his tenure as the Honorable Minister of Health. We wish him well. We are also tracking and monitoring, all of his deliverables so that we can say at the end of the day, in your time, you did all of this. And to also thank the Honorable Minister of State for cooperating and operations with the Honorable Minister. We believe that if you do all of these things and you do them well, your time, your time in that ministry will be written in gold, and Nigerians will forever be grateful because we know that you are pushing everything to ensure that we save over 1 million lives, and you're doing so many things, so many big health initiatives. I want to wish you well. To Dr. Diop, our country director for the World Bank, thank you for your invaluable support at all times, funding your technical assistance. We believe it will continue to catalyze our health initiative. To our country director on the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mr. Uche, whose organization's investment has been pivotal to malaria control, we say a big thank you. Dr. Walter, our WHO country representative, we believe that your expertise and our advocacy capacity has helped us to push this forward. Thank you very, very much. To all of our partners, Marshall Nets, who I met last week, I did promise, I said I'll be here in person. And to all of our other partners, please, let's see this as a start to work. It's only when we achieve what we have said for ourselves that we have done the job. They don't pay people for attempts. They pay people for results. And it's the result that is important. It's the result that takes us to that final breaking point in which we all can say that, yes, we've done our best, we've contributed what we've needed, and we've seen the results. I believe that we have everything to make it work. We believe we have all it takes to eliminate malaria completely in Lagos State. I want to congratulate our own Ministry of Health. Congratulating ourselves is telling you that you have a lot more to do, Prof, and all of you. But I will be watching, and I will do everything to continue to encourage you. And as a demonstration of that encouragement, I was whispering to Prof that I will also do something different. I will be promoting Dr. Idu as the permanent secretary. Twice as much. All the very hard work you're doing. To my fellow Lagosians, fight belongs to each of us. Let us embrace a preventive measure like eliminating mosquitoes, adapt, test before treatment. And I think that is the message we need to take away. All of our pharmaceutical establishment ensure that we can pass this message. Test before treatment. It is so important that we do not just take this for granted. Let us ensure that we can take this advocacy into our communities, into our nooks and crannies, and show truly that once we have started this campaign in Lagos, we will go around every part of the city. We can rewrite the history of malaria in Lagos, and it is in our hand. It's all of us in this room that can help. I want to wish you all the very best, and I believe that when we work together, there's absolutely nothing that we cannot achieve together. Thank you very much.
Mr. Governor, sir, may I plead your indulgence?
When we were doing interview, she thought I really didn't like her. She was frowning her face one day. Between her eye and her eye. This pre-examination launch of malaria from Lagos State. Pathway to malaria pre-admission and sterilization program in Lagos. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Governor, sir, may I crave your indulgence to quickly invite this Honorable Commissioner for Health, Special Advisor on Health and Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, to join you for the first photo op.
So we are inviting all the permanent secretaries in Lagos State to join the executive governor, actors from the Federal Ministry of Health, all the directors that have accompanied the Minister of State for Health, all the directors in the Federal Ministry.
Welcome to Cash Crafts, the show that turns your skills and ideas into serious income. Whether you're just getting started or you're already in the business, we'll bring you practical tips, fresh opportunities, and real stories to help you grow literally and financially. I am Grace Komolafe, and today we are digging into horticulture, a vibrant green world where beauty meets business. Ask me why horticulture, and I will give you a mind-blowing answer. So here is it. Horticulture isn't just about flowers. It's food, income, wellness, and sustainability rolled into one. From fresh fruits to ornamental plants, it boosts nutrition, urban design, environmental health, and jobs. With climate concerns rising and food needs increasing, horticulture is fast becoming the new oil. But where is the cash? Let's break it down. 7 green paths to profit, and I take it from 1. Plant nursery. Raise and sell seedlings, ornamental trees, herbs, shrubs. From balcony plants to estate palms, people pay to green their spaces. And 2. Landscaping. Design and maintain outdoor spaces for homes, estates, offices. Think aesthetics plus recurring contracts. And 3. Garden maintenance. Offer pruning, pest control, soil treatment, and seasonal cleanups, a steady side hustle for trained hands. And we move to 4. Horticultural farming. Now, grow fruits, veggies, flowers, or herbs. Go organic, go premium. Target hotels, health stores, and home markets. And we move to 5, consulting. Breed new plants, varieties, advise firms, or supply rare seeds. If you are skilled, your knowledge becomes a product. And we move to 6, product marketing. Sell fertilizers, potting soils, seeds, tools, and even ready-to-use grow kits. Offline or online, green goods move. Tip number 7, training or education. You can host workshops, classes, or start a YouTube channel. Gardeners, enthusiasts, and students are hungry to learn. Now, whichever paths you choose, start with research. Visit local horticultural centers. Understand what grows in your region. Learn from experts. Your first harvest may not bring millions, but with time, this business roots deep. Remember, success in horticulture isn't only about soil, it's about strategy. So here is your takeaways. An award choking on stress, pollution, and processed food. Green is gold. Horticulture is low entry, high potential, and if done right, it fits both the body and the bank account. So, what number are you reaching for on our list of 7? All right, that's it for today on Cashcraft. Until next time, I am Grace Komolafe, helping you plant ideas that pay right here on Cashcraft.
Okay, as you know, my name is Babatunde Jala Epega. I shortened it. That was part of my journey to Baba Jala Epega. I was born here in Lagos, just a stone throw away from here, in actually Lagos Hospital here. And I was expelled from school. I went to Corona Ikoyi at the age of 6. My teacher, who I found to be quite unjust at the time, made us all stand, and I remember this, even though it's like almost 45 years ago, but I remember standing outside Corona School in the heat with all the students in my class because one boy had done something and no one owned up. So I found that quite unjust that all of us had to suffer. So I picked up a stone and I threw that stone at my headmistress's glass and it broke her window. She told my parents, and my parents weren't very happy, of course, but they realized that I wasn't meant to be in a school like that here. So the teacher actually asked me to leave, and my parents took me to England. They said, take this child to England. We can't control this child here. He's a wild fellow. So as soon as I got to England, I went to Tunbridge Wells in Kent. I went to school there, and it was the most cold experience I've ever had in my life. I was 6.5 going to 7, and I went to boarding school at that age. And I think that woke me up in life straight away, that even in comfort, you still have steel. And by that, I mean that everyone would think, oh, you are lucky, you went to England at 6, 7. But I was very young. I was put in a dormitory with children from England, from Japan, from Saudi Arabia. We were all very young. There was a lot of crying in the dormitory, 12 boys, 6 on each side. And the room was very cold. I remember the cold. But one other thing I got to learn was rugby. And through my life, rugby and learning to deal with my condition and environment has instilled a strength in me. And as we know in Nigeria, you have a lot of things that happen that are out of your control, but you have to find a way to evolve and adapt. And I think from the age of 6, 7, I was very lucky to have that. I went to the oldest school in the world called King's Canterbury, started by St. Augustine in 598 AD. This was the secondary school I went to. And my life seemed pretty, what they say, gold-leafed at the time. Everyone's like, you enjoy, you're in Nigeria, you're in London. I learned to speak Spanish. Unfortunately, I lost my Yoruba, but I'm trying to get that back. I learned to speak Spanish and French. But at the age of 17, my father had a stroke. And he was working too hard, obviously. And sadly, my mom and dad had split up by that time. So my whole life that seemed so rosy stopped because my father's business partners, all of them somehow took the business and it went away. And from that going away, we were left destitute. My dad was in a coma for 3 months, and my mother, who wasn't working, because my sisters and I have 2 lovely older sisters, Yewande and Gigi, we were still in school. So much so that my last year's school fees were not paid. But one of my uncles kindly paid for my school fees, and my mother had to go to work. She started her own business. She too was a journalist, Mrs. EBONYI Epega, but she started a chauffeur driving company and started using cars to drive people with her staff. So from that age where I thought a university was going to be given, I was left floating in the abyss because we didn't have financials. So for 1 year I had to work in a post office in London, and it was quite an eye-opener for me, but it didn't stop me from adapting. And again, adaptation helped me grow. So from being in a very wealthy family as a young man, coming to the age of 17 to become an adolescent, grown up, I realized that nothing is given. My father sadly was in a stroke, and when he had that stroke, he became semi-paralyzed. For another 30 years, he was semi-paralyzed. But my mother died quite soon after that time in a car crash on the road to Warri, because my Okrika side and Warri side is where my mom was from, even though my father was Ijebu. So my mother died at the age of when I was 21, which was 20 actually, when I was starting university. And my father was semi-paralyzed. So I became the father of the family, even though my sisters were older and far more intelligent than me. But being the man, I had to take control of a lot of things. And I think that's what really gave me the tenacity to understand that I really need to be someone who doesn't just walk in one field. I need to spread my risk. From my university, I did mathematical economics and Spanish. I was able to go to University, Queen Mary College, London University. And from there I finished. As I said, I worked again. So I worked before I went to uni, and then I worked afterwards. And for me, life is about collaboration, communication, and tenacity. And I think those were my first 21 years. There were less people in Lagos in those days. I won't lie. I grew up every summer and even Christmas where we could afford it. Back in my day, 1978, 79, Naira was 0.8 to £1. So you can understand that people were very wealthy. I think in those days there was like 40 million people. It wasn't that much of it because my dad was an estate surveyor. So we used to go to Abuja a lot. And he was one of the surveyors that gridded Abuja when it was being built during the late 70s, 80s with Obasanjo, and even before Murtala Mohammed. They were gridding it. And Lagos, or should I say Abuja, was made the capital. And Abuja is a model city of Milton Keynes, which is a model city of Paris. Just like Brasilia in Brazil was changed from Rio de Janeiro as a capital. So for me, coming back to Lagos was a joy. I enjoyed it because I was young. We used to just run the streets on our bicycles and cycling, just exploring. Everything was open. There weren't as many cars. It was very no big apartments, and there weren't as many people. So I had a beautiful time. There were a lot of lizards on the ground, and we used to throw stones at them. But that was my own youth. We used to go to the beach a lot. Bar Beach was around. It's not around now. Sadly, my dad used to take me to Bar Beach to see the capital punishment killings of armed robbers, and even Dimka, who was one of the leaders of the coup d'etat against Murtala Mohammed. We saw him shot there. Saturdays was a big day, and NTE used to have a channel. I think they still have their studio there. So one of our aunties, Ms. Julie Coker, was there. So we saw a different side of Nigeria. We would go to Ibadan, we'll go to Ijebu, we'll go to Benin, we'll go to Port Harcourt by road. In those days, you could travel, and along the way, we go to Akure, you pick up mangoes, you pick up coconuts, my dad will pick up palm wine, all these things on the road that I don't know if you get it now, because security is an issue. So for me, it was a romantic time. I think fashion, evolving through Nigeria, has started as a siloed industry. By that I mean every individual was doing their own thing, whether they were a seamstress, a tailor, a designer, a stitcher, they were doing their own thing. But we are realizing that with the 200+ million people we have in Nigeria, you can't be an individual alone doing your own thing. So the evolution of fashion that I've seen in my own small way, as someone who's worked in the industry, is that there's more collaboration. The designers are looking for hire specialist artisans to help with their stitching, the styling, and the putting together of clothes and accessories. So I'm also seeing small grassroots shoots, very small at the moment, of the government playing a part in bringing together some kind of foundation so people can articulate their fashion designs to the world, because we have seen it in a lot of music. Obviously, Afrobeat is one of our biggest exports in this country. Obviously, there's oil and all the others, but I'm talking about within this entertainment, luxury, lifestyle industries. So we're trying to learn from that how private sector can play a part to enhance this fashion sector. So now we're seeing a lot of vibrant colors, a lot of styles. Men's fashion is big. It's not just women's fashion. Men's grooming is massive. Hair and beauty as well. So men are taking care of ourselves more and more. And accessories. Accessories, I think, is fundamentally the quick fix of fashion, where we can enhance and create jobs and hyper growth in GDP by focusing on this. And this is where I implore the government with, working in mineral resources, our precious metals, semi-precious metals, help those industries to grow. There's a great lady, Janet Adeyemi, who works in Women in Business, and she is working within that. Let's help our fairer sex or the female gender to grow in business as well, because there's a fundamental knowledge that if half your population are women, as ours is roughly, or maybe 51%, 52%, you have to educate the women so they too can add to GDP. It's a simple economist theory. You can't leave them out of it because it's very important. And these industries in fashion are enhanced by women, and we need to push that forward. I think the banking system needs to be augmented, and I'm saying this from the government's perspective. The ease of doing business in Nigeria, as an investor myself, a foreign investor as well as being an indigent in Nigeria, the problem is not getting your money to Nigeria, it's getting your money out of Nigeria. Not that you want to suck all the money out of the country, but what can help is the floating exchange rates, the flow and liquidity of money that can come in and out of the country. A lot of investors are worried about how they get their money out of Nigeria. So I think our banking system, going back to the central bank, which they're working on, needs to be much more fluid. So people feel they can invest and take money out. But also, we need to articulate what is on offer. We need to start some kind of documentation of who is available to have investment with, where they can be found, because it's because we are quite an opaque economy, meaning that people can't see the end of where they're putting their money. Once we do that basis and open up the lights within which kind of businesses are available to be invested in, I think a lot of investors, domestic and international, will be more willing to put money to it. I think content creation for me has been an evolution. I started as an ex-banker, as I said. I used to trade futures and options in Barclays Bank. I was on the Life Exchange, trading bonds, and I found that wasn't my life. I wanted to be more closer to people. Some people can be bankers on the trading desk or trading floor, but not for me. So I started doing events. I was very lucky enough to show that I was quite adept at doing events. So a big company called Richemont, they owned Cartier, Dunhill, Hackett. They were part of British American Tobacco. They took me on to do their events. So I was doing a lot of polo matches, a lot of Christmas parties, a lot of brand activation events in England. So for me, I got a lot of content knowledge from that. Different styles, people, different countries. But in the last 10 years, I felt that helping companies like LinkedIn, Google, all kinds of big banks in Europe and America was not my remit. My business, EMC3, was going very strongly in America. But as a Nigerian man, I didn't feel love in America. I know that everyone says it's the land of opportunity, but being someone of my own African descent, I didn't like the mentality there. People are good, but the infrastructure is racist institutionally, as we know. So I felt I wanted to give something back to Nigeria. And with all the 20 years of, at that time, about 17 years of knowledge I'd gained from doing some of the best Grand Prix parties in the world, Formula One, around Monza, Silverstone, Abu Dhabi, I was doing a lot of events. I thought, let me take this back to Nigeria. I didn't have to come back to Nigeria. I wanted to. I know with all our grievances with Nigeria, if you ask many Africans about Nigeria, they'll say, they look up to us. You guys, you have Chinua Achebe, you have Wole Soyinka, you have Fela Kuti. What's your problem? You have Chimamanda Adichie. What's your problem? So we have to take ownership and say, yeah, we do have all these people. We have Afrobeats, whether it's Burna Boy, Davido, the Venus Bushfires, all these different people that are exported. Let us look inside and say, wow, we do have a lot. So I wanted, as a content creator, to show Nigeria in all the different sectors that we do have a lot. And that's why with the marketing and communications company that I've started, my own company, I felt I could touch so many sectors. And finance, as I mentioned, I work with banks. Also government, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, a very great entity. I work in fashion, with brand labels and people across the board. There are great shops like Alara here that also promote African fashion and African business. And did you know even Leventis does a lot of research, Nigerian bottling company, to help this country. And do you know Nigeria was blowing glass 1,000 years, almost 1,000 years before Europe knew glass blowing. And it's been found in Oyo State only recently. So it's very important that architecturally, we take ownership of our country. The Nok civilization that has been in the mid to, I think it's above Abuja, near Benue, and even Niger River, above those basins, that has a lot of artifacts and a lot of archaeological excavation potential. But we've allowed that just to linger. People have stolen a lot of our artifacts. You know, Nigeria was known for Benin bronzes. We were the best smelters of iron before people were smelting iron. So these are things we have to take stock of. And me as a content creator, I bring all that information together and I make sure that people acknowledge it and are aware of it. So then that will uplift us all. Now, this is a political question, but I believe with our background of the last 20, 30 years, we've had, sadly, leaders who have been militarily inclined, let's just call it that. And as we know, military people, they don't like educated people because educated people will ask questions. So we have had what we call a dismemberment of education in Nigeria for the last 35 years. And that has played an endemic part in retarding the gross domestic productivity of our country because our youths and even people up to my age and older have not had the infrastructure, middle-class education that is needed for a country to grow. You look at the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century in Europe, especially in Britain, and you look how they were expanded by merchants and artisans and specific skilled workers. Apprenticeships were big, education was huge. There was what they call a noblesse obligée, a nobility obligation that people who are rich give back to institutions, not to church, to institutions that will help education. And that is where I think we've had a disconnect. Education was lacking. So for me, the way that we can help, it takes time. This new government is in. They are trying to implement the 8-point agenda, which is a good agenda. But everyone's looking for results now. Nigeria has been in a very bad state. There's global downturn. Obviously, cost of living is so high as it has been for a while. Nigeria is exacerbated, but in Europe, cost of living is high. There are some stupid wars going on around the world that has meant oil prices have skyrocketed. And you know, with the rocketing of oil, everything goes up price-wise. So Nigeria needs to reevaluate education and apprenticeship. I believe even in fashion industry especially, apprenticeship is very important. Whether it's weaving, designing, marketing, online, whatever it is, factories, you need apprenticeship. And that's the quick fix of education. But education is fundamental to everything. Education of men and women, or girls and boys, both. Let's be honest, we need both sides of our genders to work together. You know, Yoruba, we've always been what we call a dual binary kind of culture. We've always thought of male and female as one, and it's very important. Even in our names, Taiwo and Kehinde, you won't know if it's male or female. So we have to really educate ourselves that we can work together. And I think our women are our future, and I can't even emphasize that more. And education is key, but it takes time. I think Japa syndrome is very real. Everyone wants a better life. Let's not lie. You want a better life for yourselves, but for your family, your parents, your children. And the opportunities in Nigeria, even when you have been educated and you finish graduate here, to find jobs is not easy. The infrastructure is very bad for job creation. And this is being worked on, you know, and the last 8 years has been fundamentally broken. But we know this new government is changing that. But specifically, Japa in Canada, they need our brains. You go across the world and you ask any nation, especially America, who are the best educated, the best, integrated, and the most proficient people, Nigerians. So it's not that we are stupid, it's that we don't have the infrastructure at home. And America, Canada, Europe, they're giving us the infrastructure. So getting out of Nigeria is not easy. There are opportunities and policies that allow it, but going across the border to Libya is not the way. You spend $5,000, $4,000, which is almost 4 or 5 million naira to try and get to Europe, and then you're treated like a dog when you get there. That's not the way. But, you know, there are certain policies that can take you to these countries. And in Britain, for instance, it's not all, the streets aren't paved in gold, but if you earn £1 in Britain, you send that home, that £1 is 1,300 naira. So, and the minimum wage is £14 an hour now in Britain. So you can do the maths of that. So someone who is earning £14 an hour, if they work 10 hours in a day, they've earned over £100, which is 100,000 naira. So the maths, of course, is what makes people want to go there, because even if you are working there, obviously you're paying British rates, so your rent, your cost of utilities, your food and drink, your transport comes into play. It's not cheap there. But the money you send, even if you're only sending £100 a month back to your mom, that's 100,000 naira. So, or 130,000 naira in today's rate. So you can do the maths. That's why people are going. And the security in these countries is, and the education, to be quite frank, is better. But it doesn't mean they are better. We have to build a house, you must thatch the roof from within, so your roof doesn't cave in. And I think that's very important. Not that people shouldn't go home, go out of the country, but they should always come home as they can. Because we need, you see the Pakistanis doing it, you see the Indians doing it, you see the Arabs, they go home and they build their own countries. It's not good to just japa and leave. You have to come home small. I think my success is down to, as much as I can say a success, because it's still a book that is not finished and the stories are still unwritten, is a tenacity of hard work. It's very important that people understand that it takes a lifetime to look like an overnight success. It doesn't just come. What I'm still doing, I'm not the most successful in my business, but I love my business. And if you can find something that you love and you can make money out of, then you're in heaven on earth, to be quite frank. I think my spirituality and my faith is very important, as is my wife's. My wife, Helen Epega, she wrote the world's first Pidgin English opera. And we've been staging it here in London. We played in Cape Town, in Nairobi, and in Lagos, And we've staged it in London. We're at the Royal Albert Hall next year. I'm executive producer of that. So I think my success, to add to that, is that I don't put all my eggs in one basket. And I work very hard to make sure I research and obtain knowledge of the next thing, or what was the last thing. I'm a historian as well. And I put things in perspective. And I try to add value as I can. But as my momsy used to say, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I like to listen as well. And from children you can learn, from grandpapa you can learn. So humility is very important. I'm not arrogant with it. And I think that's the most important part. Collaboration, humility, and shared drive. But also knowing that for me, Saturday and Sunday, I'm off. That's my time for the family. I take a break. Sunday, even God rested on the 7th day. Me too, I rest. I'm not 24/7, even though this weekend we have a big fashion event, but that's work. But when I take my tools down, it's tools down. No one can call me on Sunday morning. So you can't be BOing to people. Never let anyone own you like that. That's what I say. Someone calling you on Sunday morning, obviously in journalism, in film, it's a different projects. I'm not saying every time, but just be aware of yourself and your mental health. That's the most important. Sure. The world's first Pidgin English opera is a show about a Nigerian fabled people. It's almost like Orisha, but it's not. There are people who are Mami Waters, as well as they are spiritual people. They are the guardians of the galaxy, to use an expression. There is God, the all-faithful God, and the all-knowing God, omniscient, omnipotent. But below that, there are all these almost demigods that look after, let's say, this sector of the universe. And these people are singers. They sing opera. But they sing it with Pidgin English. And you know, Pidgin is a language that is known by most Nigerians, but it's a language that people shun and say, it's a bad language. But they speak Pidgin in Hawaii. They speak Pidgin in China. They speak Pidgin, Old English Cockney is Pidgin. American even is a form of Pidgin because they Yankified English. So what my wife has done, Helen Epega, she's also known as the Venus Bushfires. She's an Afrofuturist musician. She composes songs. So she put together this compilation, which is a Pidgin English opera musical. And it's a show that lasts for about 45 minutes or an hour and a half. It depends if you're doing the short version or long version. So we have tenors, we have sopranos, we have violinists, we have kura player, and my wife plays something called the hang, which is like 2 tortoise shell steel drums that sound like a harp. And she plays that and she sings. She's the main protagonist in this. And it's a drama about all these people that have come, the Meneme people, who are meant to look after the planet, but they lose their voice. So Earth is, because God is angry with them, the Earth, and says these people are rubbish. But the Meneme people say to God, please, give them one more chance. They're not that bad. I know they're fighting, there's lots of wars, but give them another chance. So the lead Kanate of these Meneme people has to go to the Venus Bushfire, which is the heavenly celestial place, to bring the voice back, to sing Earth back into harmony. So it's a drama, and it kind of plays on our old cultural awareness in Africa and heritage of Nigeria of there are other beings. And you must have faith in your ancestors as well as in a God. And the deities, as we know in Yoruba, I think there are 7 deities, and these are very important cultural awareness that we try to give to children as well. I think the filmmaking in Nigeria is burgeoning. AFRIF, the African Film Festival, International Film Festival, is on now, which is a great show. I helped incept in 2010, many years ago. We had it in Port Harcourt. It was Governor Rotimi Amici that started that campaign, but it's going on very strongly now. Nollywood, as we call it, is being noticed by the international market, whether it's Netflix or Hollywood. I would like to tell you something, actually, which is, I haven't divulged this for many years. My great uncle, whose name is Orlando Martins, God rest his soul, was one of the first African actors in Hollywood. He acted in the 30s with people like Ronald Reagan, Katharine Hepburn, and Bob Hope. And he always played a part as an African prince or chief. He was never like denigrated or made into a lower African slave or anything. And I think that instilled something in my mind with this film industry. I think it's very important that Nigeria, as it is, we have some great actors like Wale Ojo and Ramsey Noah. They are playing part in producing their own shows. And it's very important, like in America, you obviously have people like Mel Gibson, Robert De Niro, who have produced their own films as well, that Nigerians are not just actors or technicians, they are also producers and directors. It's very important that we have that link within our industry. And we make friends and we forge relationships, not just with Hollywood. There's Bollywood, the Indian industry, and there's also China, because China's film industry is massive. Technically, I think that just as big as Hollywood. So we must look to ourselves in Africa as well. There's some great film makers from Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ghana, and I think collaboration is, I always use collaboration because I would not be here without collaboration. Obviously, my wife, you collaborate with your spouse, but also my businesses. I have a very good English business partner. He's really a business partner. I've started a new business. I collaborate with all kinds of industries and different sectors. So for film industry, I think it's important that we push our heritage forward because people want to know about Nigeria. They love, in Africa, they love Nollywood stories, and that's a fact. And we can expand by using distribution. Distribution is key. Netflix all the Hollywood film houses, negotiate with them. Even if you don't get the best price for this show, make sure you check your contract, make sure you get it for your next film. So I think that's important, distribution. While I'm still alive, that's a very good question. Hope springs eternal with me. And I am optimistic about Nigeria. I think Nigeria is not what we all will think it will be. It's something it's a country that needs to be more fluid. We have in diaspora a lot of powerful individuals and groups. I think we need to connect even more with those individuals and groups who need to invest in Nigeria. Our youth is very talented and is very able, but it's also very abundant. So we need to find a way to link up education, apprenticeship to these youth to give them something that is productive to work in. And that means expanding your mind as parents. It's not just doctors, lawyers, bankers that we need. We need artisans, we need creatives, and that's the most important point. It's a mind block. So for me, if we can work on Nigeria's mind psyche and the taboos of oh, we don't want our child to marry a musician. You know, even as a musician, you don't just have to be a rapper. You could be a music engineer. You could be a filmmaker. You could be an engineer that works with the technical aspects of editing. You could be a designer. There's so many aspects. So I say to my utopian Nigeria, learn from your brothers and sisters. International research online is very important. And for me, the dream is to see Nigeria as a fluid country of strength in Africa, where we're trading with African countries and we're using what we have as our asset. Technically, of course, we need Europe and America and everything, but we have it in Africa. We have it in Nigeria. So my beauty of Nigeria would be if we become our own Wakanda, working with other African states and enhancing our own GDP as well as our region and our continent's GDP working together. Gosh, my favorite, what's the first one? Food. As you can see, I like my food. I like a mixture actually. I like amala. I like yams. I swallow very well. Whether it's with ogbono soup, that's very good. But also, from my mother's river side, there's one okra, seafood okra that my mom used to make. And I still strive to find that. I go and find that whenever I go away. In London, you have some nice Nigerian restaurants, and in Lagos, of course, as across Nigeria. But nothing like home cooking. When my wife makes me a nice, I suppose she makes a goosey for me, eba, and that's my staple. My best music, I love Afrobeats, of course, but predominantly I'm a Fela man. Ebenezer Obey. I like the old styles. And I also like Zaire music. There's high life that comes across Africa. But to be light to say I don't like Jimi Hendrix. I like Jimi Hendrix. He's a guitarist, a Native American, African-American guitarist. I love his kind of music. So those are my mainstays. And Gorillaz and De La Soul are still very great music of mine. Those are my Spotify at the moment. What was the other question? I like wrestling. They used to call it Gidigbo back in the day, Yoruba wrestling. I used to love that. I haven't seen that much lately, but I like Nigerian wrestling. Obviously, we play good football. We're great footballers as well, globally. But you said Nigerian sports. Polo. Nigeria, I like Nigerian polo as well. To my young brethren and children of Nigeria, I say it's important hard work. Hard work, research, and belief in yourself. Obviously, times are very tough at the moment, and money is tight. But with your own creativity, you can build your empire from there. I always believe that from one's mind, you can make worlds, and you shouldn't give up. Obviously, if you're not very great at one thing, you find what you are great at. But always be honest with yourself and treat others how you want to be treated. And remember, collaboration is the key or the little sister of success. And always have a smile. Very important. That's what I say.
I was born on the 16th day of October, 63 years ago. I'm from Opobo, yeah, and went to school. I'm from Rivers State, from Opobo in Rivers State. Went to school in Port Harcourt, lived in Port Harcourt all my life, from primary to secondary school to A-levels. Then after A-levels, I got admission to Unilag. Immediately after Unilag, I got married, and I've lived in Lagos ever since. Well, it was fun for us because me and my husband were very young. My husband was 25, I was 21 and all that. But we learned on the job. We were friends. We were friends for 3 years when I was in Unilag, university, and we came out, we got married. So we're like children that just got married. But I had my parents. My parents were his very good friends. So when I get naughty, he would report me to my parents. When I didn't know these kind of duties were demands of somebody's wife, they would tell me this is my responsibility. I'm like, no. I will agree to some, I will not agree to some. But I mean, it was fun. We had our ups and downs, but we kind of pushed through it. And then the children started coming, and it was a different ballgame. You know, when you come from that kind of family, it's like part of your system. You don't really regard it as anything anymore. But sometimes I get the shock of my life because there was a time my in-laws came to Opobo for one ceremony, and I saw the king. And he gave me a hug and he gave me a pic, and they were like, whoa, the upper Benin won't even shake your hands, you know, as a woman. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's the same family, you understand? So we're used to that. I think we take it for granted. But maybe some other people say, you must call me a princess, you must call me that. I'm not into all those kind of things. I'm not at all, I've never been. So I can't start tomorrow. But yeah, great King Jaja of Opobo, my great-great-grandfather. And my children, when they studied it in school, they went to Corona school. When they studied, came, Mom, we're telling our teacher and our classmates that this King Jaja of Opobo, they told them about King Jaja of Opobo in school. And they said, that's my mommy's great-grandfather. Like, whoa, no, it was like a big deal to them, for us. Absolutely, upbringing. Upbringing, my personal choice too. because you could be brought up one way and choose to go another way. You understand? One of my philosophies in life is like this. You're not the tallest in the world, you're not the shortest, you're not the prettiest, you're not the ugliest, you're not the richest, you're not the poorest. Oh, of course, get with it. Do you understand? If you're looking for beauty, there are more beautiful women than you say. If you're looking for ugly, there are uglier women. If you're looking for tall, you're looking for it. So what is it? Do you understand? You didn't come into this world with anything. You're not going to go with anything. So just be grateful to God for whatever you have or whatever you are. Work towards improving on it, improving your relationship with God Almighty and improving your relationship with your fellow human beings. That's my philosophy in life. So what's the point of carrying all the air and chips on your shoulder? It makes life heavier for you. Seven is my favorite number. It's a number for perfection, and I was born on the 16th of October. My star sign is Libra. We're always looking for perfect balance in everything. It's just an influence from the horoscopes, I'm told. But J is my husband's name, D is my name, and 7 is my favorite number. Lazy way of forming the name of a company, isn't it? So I did, and it stuck. And I knew I was going to go into couture, so that was it. Easy. I was a victim of circumstance. I keep saying it. I didn't really come into business to be a fashion designer, to go into fashion, and creativity has always been something that's innate. Okay, even before I started making clothes or doing this, I used to always give designers the styles that I want them to make for me. I didn't have tailors. But when I finished my NYSC at Nigerian Television Authority in Victoria Island, I decided I wasn't going to work there. I wanted to work in a more organized setup. You understand? Because of management traineeship, because I never worked all my life. You know, my parents were very protective. I'm the last girl in the family. They were always very protective. You know? So I said I wanted to work somewhere, and I prayed about it. And I got into Unilever. Then it was called Labor Brothers. And for 5 years, but you know, the intensity of work there became a bit much for me because I was a young mother. I had 2 kids then. Was going on having the 3rd one, so it became a bit time. Sometimes Unilever was one of the biggest. When the international directors come in, we used to be the ones to host them with all the Unilever affiliates. Linters, the advertising agency used to be all the Nigerian breweries, USC, you understand, AJC, we're all Unilever group. Sometimes I won't get home until 3 a.m. when we are hosting, and with kids in the house, it can be a bit much. So I'm like, I prayed about it and I decided something has to give. It's either your family, your children will not give them the attention they need then, and they were growing fast, or your job will suffer, and then you will not be happy whichever way. So I decided, you know what, let my priority be my family, and I decided to go back. And I put in my resignation. That was not what I'm fine. When I did, my chairman refused to accept the resignation. So I had to use another way to encourage him to accept it. So I left Unilever. I said, okay, I wasn't the type of person that was suited for being a housewife. I wanted to do the kind of business I would do, but still have 100% time for the kids. So when the kids said, oh, they're having something in school, I'm there, okay? I decided I was going to just market corporate gifts. When I was in Unilever, I was the assistant corporate affairs manager in charge of press. So, and being in Unilever at the corporate affairs level, I already knew a lot of companies. So I used that opportunity to get back to those companies and introduce my new business. And in the first year, I actually made more money than my 5-year stint in Unilever. So that was the number encouragement. You make more money doing your own business. You have more time for your kids, for your family, and for yourself. And you travel quite a bit because you have to go and buy the corporate gifts. So it was a win-win. Then a few years down the line, the president, Olusegun Obasanjo, came in and said they were doing backward integration and they were going to stop the importation of all this corporate gift and a lot of other things. So we were actually forced to look inwards. And when we started looking inwards, that's when it hit me that apart from Big, that was being produced by Eleganza, we're not really manufacturing anything in Nigeria apart from textiles and maybe I think Eleganza was doing food flask or something. And which corporate body do you want to give flask end of year gift? So what we had to do now, because a lot of my clientele were like Shell, Chevron, I started looking inwards. I said, okay, if I have to do something, I can do beddings, pillowcase trimmings, table covers, table placemat, napkins with fabrics like ashok and adira. I can do jute bags, you know. It came to me. So I had to go and buy one machine and employed one tailor. So sometimes they will call me. I did some samples. So when, even in Abuja, when they were going to have, like I remember the West African Women's Affairs, they had a conference. So they wanted jute bags, and we had about 1,000 or 2,000 jute bags, and that was quite nice. Plus, apart from the end of year activities, so that's it. But you know, after those periods, you have periods of lull, like you're not using the machine and the tailor. You have to be paying tailor for doing it. I'm like, why am I going to these people to make my clothes? Tailor, oh yeah. This is the style I want. I started first by giving some of my clothes, repeat it. You did well. So I started designing. I could sketch very well. I was a science student in school, but I could sketch really well. So I was sketching, would do well. And sometimes when I wear the clothes and I go to supermarket, some women will just call me, hey, I really like this thing you're wearing. Please, where did you make it? I'm like, okay, I'll give you the address. I give them the address. They started coming. Before I could say that, within 1 month, I had over 50 women I had to make clothes for. And the one tailor was no longer enough. I had to employ 2 others. That was how we started. From 2 to 4, then I had a whole factory before you could see that. I started making school uniforms, started doing all kinds of things. And then some of the magazines, like Genevieve magazine, looked at me and like, are you sure you make this outfit? I thought you were a broadcaster. I thought you sell. I said, yes, I did. So I did some photo shoot session for her, and I modeled the clothes actually. And whoa, I started getting calls from Paris, from the UK. I did DC Fashion Week, you know. I was just, and they will pay your ticket, pay your hotel, please come and showcase for us. Some will even say, please come and open the show for us. Some say, we want you to close this. I'm like, okay. There are places that I would never have thought of going to, like Burkina Faso. They will back me the top fashion designers that would, when the Alfadi does this, they once every 4 years. Alfadi in Niger. The Niger government sponsors it. He calls all, including Elisab, every international designer, they will go, especially the Moroccan ones, those North African ones, Indians. So they invite one designer from each country. So they used to call me to come because of what I used to work a lot with Ankara and Ashok, and I do international acclaimed, how would I put it, couture outfits with Ankara, big hats, funny looking, structured clothes and all that. So that was how it went, you know. And I did all the magazines. I've won all the awards. So after a while, you know, I started thinking of concentrating on exports. In the process of doing that, my husband took ill. After 2 years, we lost him. So when I came back home, I gave a lot of things a lot of thought. My kids were still in school. My daughter got married. She was in Australia already. And then my kids, my 2 boys were still in school. So I said, look, this fashion design group is not going to pay school fees in pounds sterling and dollars. So I said to myself, you know what? Why don't you give the man hours to the industry, the family business that were yielding the most income? That was how I started kind of just saying, you know what, let me just minimize it a bit. my core clients were still coming. So I kept the tailors, my experienced tailors that worked with for years. I kept few of them. And I kind of cut down on that business. I said, you know what? Let me just go and face the family business and do this for the people who really know what I'm doing. And word of man goes. So I'm still doing that, but my priority is really not that, When you look at me the first time you see me, you see a fragile woman that don't like to sweat, that's spoiled, that like to be kept. I'm like, what? Absolutely not. My husband didn't want me to do anything. He just felt he wanted to spoil me. I said, that's not how to love me at all. Please. It's either you kind of understand the person I am. I'm a very creative mind. This mind has to keep working, or I'll make life miserable for you, What I will advise, even women who are willing to work, you don't even do one job. You must get at least more than 2 streams of income. Otherwise, you will not make ends meet. That is the truth of today's world. You understand? Then those ones that want to be kept, no matter how wealthy your husband is, wealth is not static. Some people start today. When they retire, everything goes downhill. Some people mean well, they love you, they want to take care of you, but nature calls. They part ways. Some marry other women, some leave, some die. You understand? So anything can happen. I would advise them, everybody, try to be as independent as you can. Financially independent. I think you actually earn more respect when you do that. And then also, when things don't work out too well for the husband, no matter how rich you are, you don't have to put him through too much stress. You can take care of yourself, you take care of him, you encourage him, but let him not feel that the world has come to an end. A man feels happy when he knows that his back is covered, even when he's not making it. You understand? It doesn't make him lazy. It makes him very grateful. Yeah. So I will advise everybody, get something doing. Do something that will enable you to earn good income if you can. Do something that you also enjoy doing. I've always believed in garbage in, garbage out. Yeah? Garbage in is the stress abound. You cannot control that. But you can control your attitude towards stress. Stress is the #1 killer and ages of everything in this world. It's your attitude to stress that you have to manage, and that depends on you. What you put in your mouth also depends on you. Your mind, your heart, your spirit, your soul. You have to be loving, you have to be forgiving, you understand? All that depends on you. So it's actually you that decides whether you're going to age gracefully or you're not. Forget about the genes first. It's true. You understand? Some people are so malicious. When you offend them once, oh my goodness, they will carry it in their chest and the chest will be expanding and they won't sleep well and they begin to have problems. Meanwhile, the person you're angry with does not even know you exist. It's crazy. So for me, it's just be free and take life easy. Take it as it comes and always be grateful to God. I'm too honest and straightforward. It's either I will be killed immediately or because I will tell you the truth no matter whose house is God. I don't think I can play politics. I'm not a politician at all. I am a very straight shooter. I will tell you to your face when you're doing stupid things. That was my relationship with my mom, my dad, my husband. So most times, I'm the last girl in the house. So maybe when they were disciplining the first ones, by the time they got to my turn, they were a bit tired. So we could talk to my parents anyhow. But I don't do it to create whatever. I just feel that if anybody worth talking to, is worth talking to with honesty and integrity. And when you want to play politics, they will see something that is black. They will say it's yellow. I can't do that. For the love of me, I can't. So politics is not my call. And because of that, they will not allow you, your creativity to come out, your sincerity. What's the point? Yes. I'm actually planning some kind of, I met some of my old models that are doing very well. And you know, when you deal with a lot of these girls, some of them have traveled with me to Niger. Sometimes they'll tell you, bring 2 of your models. You know, some of them, we have very good relationship. We're going to do a reunion one of these days. It will be fun. And they are all calling, when are we going to do this? I say, don't worry, we'll get a reunion done. Because we need to revisit the fashion industry, see how things are going. They're doing well. The new ones are doing well. And I just pray that the environment will not discourage them, you know. It's not just Nigeria, it's the world. Whatever is happening in Nigeria is what the truth is. A crate of egg in Nigeria is still cheaper than a crate of egg in the US and in the UK, even with the exchange rate. So it's not just Nigeria, the world is experiencing some kind of. The way I see it is like the pangs of birth before the child finally comes. You know, that intense labor. And then when the child is born, everything is calm and beautiful, everybody's happy. I think we are just towards the end of the labor pain. It's going to get better, but we're going to pass through a lot of that before it gets better. And when it finally gets better, we'll all be smiling. But right now, the whole world, not just Nigeria, is crazy. If you look at international, listen to international news, it's actually crazier than here. I just pray. Yes, I live opposite, I won't even say it, on the street. One of the big men that live on that street, his birthday was yesterday, and the whole street was filled with beggars, hungry people. It was really crazy. I felt so bad. We were pushing each other, killing each other, fighting just to get a plate of jollof rice. It was very sad. It didn't used to be that bad. There were a few people who would come hang around, but the whole street, I couldn't move anywhere yesterday because of it. But I hope it gets better soon, so that the best in all of us can come in. Because hunger and poverty can actually bring out the worst in people. Naturally, yes. I have an NGO that I do. What I do, I take girls, young girls that are not able to complete school because of poverty, and I educate them. You understand? I try to pay school fees, help people, and I believe in education a lot. Yeah, because I don't believe in giving you the fish. I believe in teaching you how to fish. I have few of them from my place come stay with me. Some of them are able to stand the discipline. Some of them are not able. So the ones that are able to stay, they stay, and they do very well. Some of them I train from a distance and they do well. So I've had university graduates, I have levels, I have all kinds of things. That's what I do. And most people come to me naturally, not because I'm a trained mentor or anything. When you do anything out of love, an act of sincerity of purpose, and because they see you as genuine, they listen to you. You understand? When you mean well, you tell people the honest truth, and they, you know, it's not easy sometimes, but yes, a kind of mentor.
Muhammad Yunus was born on the 28th of June 1940 in the village of Batwa, Chittagong, a British Indian colony which is currently known as Bangladesh. He attended Lama Bazar Primary and Secondary School in his village and passed the matriculation examination into Chittagong Collegiate School, where he ranked 16th out of 39,000 students. After his graduation in 1961, Yunus joined the Bureau of Economics as a research assistant and was later appointed lecturer of economics at the Chittagong College. During that time, he also set up a profitable packaging factory on the side. In 1965, he received a Fulbright scholarship to study in the United States, where he obtained his PhD in economics from the Vanderbilt University Graduate Program in Economic Development. Between 1969 and 1972, after his keen education excellence of apex heights and proportions in the United States, he returned home and was appointed professor of economics at the University of Chittagong. He was eventually appointed onto the board of directors to the United Nations Foundation, where he served for 33 years. When Bangladesh suffered a famine in 1974, Yunus felt he had to do something for the very poor. In his country, he founded the Grameen Bank. His motivation was to create economic and social development for the very poor, giving long-term loans to those who wanted to start small enterprises to pay back when they can. The aim to help was to get many of them out of poverty. For this, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. Muhammad Yunus is a recipient of numerous international awards for his ideas and endeavors, including the Humanitarian Award in 1993, World Food Prize in 1994, Independence Day Award in 1987, Bangladesh's highest award, the King Hussein Humanitarian Leadership Award in 2000. He was also awarded the Volvo Environment Prize in 2003, Nikkei Asia Prize for Regional Growth in 2004, Franklin D. Roosevelt Freedom Award in 2006, as well as the Seoul Peace Prize in the same year. All humans are born entrepreneurs, he would always fondly say. His heart showed through his everyday life.
When you visit Lagos for the first time and Google fun or recreational places in the city, at the top of that list will be Freedom Park.
Good day and welcome to the Midday News on Souk News Television. I'm Moyosore Adebi. Now let's begin with the day's top stories. The Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Petroen, has announced plans to shut down filling stations nationwide beginning Tuesday, September 9, 2025. The suspension of fuel lifting and dispensing forms part of Petroen's protest against what is described as monopolistic practices in the downstream petroleum sector. The action also coincides with a strike declared by NUPENG. National President of Petroen, Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry, explained that the move is aimed at safeguarding competition and protecting millions of jobs threatened by the growing dominance of new entrants such as the Dangote refinery. He warned that an unregulated monopoly could push depot owners modular refiners, marketers, truck owners, and pump attendants out of business, triggering mass unemployment and deepening economic hardship across the country. The association called on President Bola Tinubu and key energy regulators to urgently intervene to prevent nationwide fuel scarcity. Pump attendants, who are NUPENG members, are also expected to participate in the strike. Petran further assured that no worker would be penalized for complying with the directive, adding that compliance teams will be deployed across member outlets to enforce the shutdown until a resolution is reached. The Naira appreciated to 1,514.86 per dollar at the official foreign exchange market, making its strongest performance in nearly 5 months. The currency, which opened on September at 1,526 per dollar, gained momentum on the back of improved liquidity and sustained dollar inflows, while also trading firmer at 1,538 per dollar in the parallel market. Analysts noted that offshore supply, portfolio inflows, and timely interventions helped strengthen market confidence. External reserves also recorded a slight increase to $41.31 billion, providing a buffer against currency volatility and reinforcing the ability of monetary authorities to support the market when needed. Expert believes that outlook for the Naira remains broadly stable in the short term, with further resilience expected from stronger inflows and a modest build-up in reserves. However, speculative demand and global oil price fluctuations may weigh on future gains, making crude production decisions a key factor to watch. Investors are positioning to tap into West Africa's $668 billion infrastructure market as Lagos prepares to host a major exhibition in April 2026. The event will focus on large-scale infrastructure expansion and the rising demand for energy-efficient heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration technologies, seen as crucial for sustainable urban and industrial development. Organizers said that the exhibition will bring together policymakers, financiers, and industry players to deliberate on key areas including transport connectivity, power supply, water and waste management, digital infrastructure, as well as climate-friendly technologies. The platform is designed to showcase projects such as the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Railway, Abidjan-Lagos Corridor Highway, Escravos Seaport Industrial Complex, and Africa Data Center in Accra. Experts emphasize the urbanization, climate pressures, and the need for resilient systems are reshaping the region's growth outlook, with Nigeria's infrastructure master plan targeting a 70% contribution to national output by 2043. The exhibition is expected to drive collaboration, attract international investors, and strengthen local capacity to deliver long-term development goals. German exports dropped unexpectedly by 0.6% in July 2025, led by a steep 7.9% fall in shipments to the United States, according to new data from the Federal Statistics Office. Analysts had projected a slight increase, but fresh U.S. tariffs on European goods weighed heavily on demand. Imports also slipped by 0.1%, leaving Germany with a trade surplus of 14.7 billion euros, down from 15.4 billion euros in June. While exports struggled, industrial production in Europe's largest economy rose by 1.3% during the same month. Surpassing forecasts, growth was partly supported by revisions in the automotive sector, following a milder decline in June than initially reported. Economists believe interest rate cuts and fiscal stimulus could further boost output, although weak export orders remain a drag. Despite concerns, economists at Commerzbank and ING noted that rising exports within the Eurozone and expansionary policies could cushion Germany's economy against external shocks. Still, prolonged trade tensions with the United States and falling global demand present major risk for Germany's export-driven growth model. The World Bank has revised Vietnam's 2025 growth forecast down to 6.6% from 6.8%, citing the drag of new United States tariffs on exports. The downgrade contrasts with the government's official target of 8.3 to 8.5%, underscoring risks facing the country's export-reliant economy. U.S. tariffs of 20% on Vietnamese goods introduced on August 7 and an even higher 40% levy on transshipments are already pressuring trade flows. Exports to the United States, Vietnam's largest market, slipped in August, with Oxford Economics reporting a 3.6% seasonally adjustable monthly contraction. Although headline government data still showed a double-digit annual growth, analysts warned that momentum is slowing. Electronic shipments may offer resilience, but demand weakness from major partners and trade policy. Uncertainty are weighing on confidence. The World Bank projects growth to slow further to 6.1% in 2026 before rebounding to 6.5% in 2027, supported by global trade recovery and Vietnam's competitiveness as a manufacturing hub. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh has warned of added inflation and currency pressures from global tensions, but domestic consumption and government-led investments are expected to remain strong buffers. Thanks for watching. Please do well to follow us on all social media platforms at Souk News TV. I'm Moyosore Adebi. Coming up shortly is Just Africa. Do stay with us.
Known as the father of African literature, Chinua Achebe was born on the 16th of November 1930 in Ogidi, now Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. He was born to Isaiah Okafor Achebe, a teacher and an evangelist, and Janet Anenichi Ilegunam, a vegetable farmer. Achebe has reshaped the global understanding of African identity through the power of storytelling. Raised during the twilight of colonial rule, Achebe's education was steeped in both Igbo tradition and the Western values of post-colonial Christianity. As a student at the University of Ibadan, he became fiercely critical of how Africa was portrayed in Western literature. Achebe believed that Western literature often painted Africa as a dark and primitive continent, but he sought to tell the African people's lens. In 1958, Achebe's groundbreaking novel Things Fall Apart shattered colonial narratives through the tragic story of Okonkwo, an Igbo warrior. Achebe illuminated the complexities of African culture and the devastating effects of European colonization. Things Fall Apart became more than just a novel. It became a symbol of African resistance against the oppressive narratives of colonialism. Achebe was not just a writer. He was a passionate advocate for African self-determination, and his political activism made him a critical voice in the post-colonial era. Even after a life marked by personal and political struggles, including a car accident that left him partially paralyzed, Achebe continued to inspire. He taught at Bard College and later Brown University, where his influence reached new generations of writers and thinkers. He was married to Christiana Chinwe Okoli and they had 4 children. Sadly, he died in March 2013 at the age of 82. Chinua Achebe's legacy endures in his novels, his essays, and in the countless voices of African writers who follow in his footsteps. He gave us a voice, a story, and a vision of Africa that is ours to share.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later under the British indirect rule it's surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Markets, Souk Enlightenment. Lateef Jakande. Born Lateef Kayode Jakande in the Ekbetedo area of Lagos Island, Lagos State on July 1929. He studied at the Lagos Public School at Enwawa, Lagos Island, then at Bonham Memorial Methodist School, Port Harcourt, King's College, enrolled at Ilesha Grammar School, where he edited a literary paper called The Quarterly Mirror. Jakande began a career in journalism in 1949 with the Daily Service and joined the Nigerian Tribune in 1953. The owner, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, appointed Jakande editor-in-chief of the Tribune in 1956. Jakande established John West Publications in 1975 after leaving Tribune and began to publish the Lagos News. He served as the first president of the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN. Jakande ran for election as executive governor of Lagos State in 1979 on the Unity Party of Nigeria platform. His administration was effective and open and implemented the cardinal policies of his party. He introduced housing and educational programs targeting the poor, building new neighborhood primary and secondary schools, and providing free primary and secondary education. He gave poor people's children education, and many of them are now very prominent in the society today. Jakande established the Lagos State University and constructed over 30,000 housing units. After the military takeover in 1983, Jakande was charged, prosecuted, and convicted of treason and later pardoned. He served as Minister of Works under the Sani Abacha military regime. He died in Lagos on February 11, 2021. Lateef Jakande was the first civilian governor of Lagos State. Lateef Kayode Jakande, Souk Enlightenment.
Anthony Onyemaechi Elumelu was born on the 22nd of March 1963 in Jos, North Central Nigeria, to Susanna and Dominic Elumelu, originally from Delta State. Tony earned a degree in economics from Ambrosely University, where he laid the foundation for his future career, and then furthered his education at the University of Lagos, where he obtained a master's degree in economics. His academic journey also includes attending the Harvard Business School, where he completed the Owner of President Management program, equipping him with advanced business management skills. Tony currently serves as the chairman of Heirs Holdings, Transcorp, and United Bank for Africa, UBA, demonstrating his significant influence in the banking and investment sector. He founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, which aims to empower African entrepreneurs through comprehensive training, mentorships, and funding opportunities. In addition to his professional achievements, he's also a family man, married to Dr. Adele Vivian Elumelu, and together they have 7 children. In 2020, his efforts were acknowledged when he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. Anthony Elumelu's net worth is estimated to be around $700 million, a testament to his successful ventures and strategic investments. Elumelu continues to be a driving force in the business world, advocating for sustainable economic growth and empowering the next generation of African entrepreneurs.
Hello and welcome to Just Africa, the show where we explore the forces shaping the continent's progress and the challenges that often go unnoticed. Today we celebrate the power of words, knowledge, and education. Literacy is more than just the ability to read and write. It is the foundation of freedom, dignity, and opportunity. Yet millions around the world, especially women and children,